Hi, guys. We are here with Fearless by Lauren Roberts. It is the final book in the Powerless trilogy. Clearly, I'm listening to the audiobook, which has been, it's not, it's hard to switch from reading a book and having the voices in your head to then listening to the voices, but it's not bad. Um, I think that we should jump right into the plot. What do you guys think? Can we just jump right into, can we storyboard what's going on here? Because I have to say, I feel like in this book, there's more mystery going on than in the last two books. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, seeing the fact the last book was just a long journey of them pretending and not pretending to like each other.
Yes. Yes. I should go back and say we're going to talk about the first 17 chapters of this book, and we're going to spoil absolutely everything that has come in any previous book in this series, including Powerful, the novella, and these 17 chapters. So if this is not for you, leave now. Yes, Elena.
Before we talk about the plot, can I just make my statement that there's no way Mac comes into this book at all? Like we're
No,
a quarter of the way in and there's just it's not happening.
it's not happening. Absolutely. No. And I mean, I've been fairly certain it wasn't going to happen, since we learned about him. But yeah, no, I'm convinced. You guys will not be able to convince me at all that this man is showing up for a single second in this book.
He's got to. This is the last book. I get it. Okay, maybe not the second book, but the last one? Come on.
Yep.
We don't even know who his
They
parents are.
Nope.
they made him super powerful in the novella. They were like, "Oh, look, he has the same power as Kai. Like, isn't that interesting? Like, that'll for sure come up again."
What about the
Yeah.
vest? His his matching vest with Paige.
Best club.
I will say, I just really doubled down. I feel like I just tripled down on the fact that Mac will not show back up in this book. But I think that we've kind of talked about ways that he may, he could possibly show up in this book. Jamie, do you think that any of those possibilities are even remotely realistic in that you think they might happen?
I believe it. I just don't know how it's going to be intertwined in the
So
story later on.
are you thinking that Mac is one of our mysterious prologue characters? Do you still think he's one of the two people that we meet in the prologue?
I don't even remember what the people in the
I don't
prologue were doing.
know. But the older gentleman in the prologue, I thought was Caleb. I'm not
Yes.
sure who
So
the younger one is.
quick recap for Elena and anybody else who hasn't read this and is just here for kicks and giggles or also needs a reminder. The prologue I thought was actually very interesting. I thought it was a cool way to start off. We basically have two shadowy hooded figures, one of which is paying the other to do something for them, and it sounds like basically what they say is I need you to do it and I need you to make it look convincing. So to me, I took it immediately as I'm paying you to stage a murder or an assassination of some kind, make it look good. But I'm also wondering if it might have been something else that already happened in this plot line that I will bring up. But Jamie,
Hmm.
so you think Callum is one of those people, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
Elena, do you also think that Callum is the one shelling out the money for the favor?
To be honest, I literally started reading it and I was like, who are these people? What are they doing? Head empty.
Why do I care?
Like, I just the writing style of this chapter and then also the Edric style like the Edric chapter. Like reading them, they're written in such a way that like it was just so hard for my mind to follow what was happening.
I
Like the
felt
timeline.
similarly. Yes.
Like
Yeah.
the King's chapter or the former
Mhm.
King's chapter. Like I didn't know what the timeline was. I knew that he was dead. So I was kind of I was trying to figure out as I read, like this present time or a flashback? But it doesn't really tell you how long ago it was or something.
Yeah, and we definitely need to talk about Edric's chapter as well. as far as the prologue goes, I do you guys think that it's like paying for a an assassination attempt? Do you see a world in which it could possibly be someone paying someone else to stage the bombing that we saw already in these first 17 chapters? Because that did occur to me after that happened, because it seemed very convenient that none of the royal people were hurt in this bombing. Um, so
Mm.
was this the make it look convincing that we hear about?
I'm just saying, there's convenient things everywhere.
That's fair. Um, but like, do we think that it's happened? Do we think it's still coming
I
in
think
his
it's still
favor?
coming. If
I
for
wonder.
no basis other than the last book, the prologue that didn't make a lot of sense at the time wasn't relevant until like 2/3 into the book.
Remind us what the prologue was in the last book, Elena.
That was just where Kai was like, "Oh, she's dead. My sister that I had never mentioned before
Oh,
is
yes.
dead." And we're like, "Why is his sister relevant? Who is this sister that just magically appeared?"
Yeah. Although we are learning more stuff about like the Kit Kai family, so maybe she does become more relevant in this book. But I will say, at least for the prologue, so we think maybe it still is coming. And I do wonder if it was Callum paying somebody to stage either Kit or Peyton's death, which I think like brings me to wanting to talk about Callum. Do you guys have any sense for what his motivations are in this book? Like, do you have a better idea of if he is actually on the side of the resistance or not?
It just doesn't seem to add up. Like him being the leader, but then also being like the king's mind reader. At least that's what we were set up to believe.
Yeah, we're set up to believe that Callum theoretically is, it seems like he is the mind reader of the castle. That Kit knows that he was part of the resistance, but somehow Callum like talked him out of being upset with him during book 2 that we didn't see, and
Hmm.
explained this whole situation about Ilya failing because now they don't have trade agreements with the other like ordinary only cities, because that's like the whole premise here, right, is that Kit thinks he needs to marry Peyton to show
To
that Ilya doesn't hate ordinaries, to create trade agreements with other cities so that they don't, like, the city doesn't fail due to
It
that.
was a stretch, but
see,
honestly, made more sense than whatever I thought was gonna be his reason for marrying her.
But do
but they've
so
been
do we, yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
no, I was just gonna say that they've been doing this for years, like marrying off from the different kingdoms. So, but why ordinary?
You mean like why
Why
are we,
this time to go with, you know, go forward with an ordinary marriage?
well, I
Is just
think
it really is
because
it really just to unite and bring the ordinaries back?
per what Kit has said, it's that they need trade with the surrounding like cities or countries or whatever they are, and that they hate them because they're like elite only and they killed all the ordinaries or sent the ordinaries to go live in their countries. So they're trying to be like, look, we love ordinaries, please trade with us, because they're running out of food, which does seem like it is true. Like that seems to check out to Peyton, who's lived in the slums her whole life, that there just like aren't a lot of resources in Ilia. So I'm not like entirely doubting that. The
Mm.
thing that I'm questioning is like, is this legitimately like Callum's actual motivation is to like save Ilya, but also the ordinaries, and then by extension, like his brand of super powerful elites? Or is there something else? There has to be something else, right? Like it can't just be that.
I think that's it.
We but we said that
No.
before. We said that before that there has to be something else in terms of the king and his motivations, and it turns out that this is really it. He just hates ordinaries and wants
Right?
power. So it's
That's
not too
fair.
far fetched that like Kaylin would be the same way, but I get what you're saying. He is suspicious.
Well, so my thought in trying to think of like what would Callum's motivations be, I feel like he has to be pro resistance. At this point, I'm going back and I'm thinking
Yeah.
he has to be, right? Because the king killed everybody like him and has basically been using him as a servant. It would make no sense to me if Callum was pro monarchy. So if Callum is truly pro resistance and this was his idea and he got Kit to believe him, and I do want to talk about mind control because I think we have to. And like we talked about it in the last episode during Reckless. So we're going to come back to that. But like if Callum somehow, with or without mind control, got Kit to agree to this plan, is that really it for Callum? Or is there a possibility that Callum is now in a dark alley in the prologue paying an assassin or someone who's going to pretend to be an assassin to make it look like Kit kills Peyton to have like a full uprising against the monarchy?
See, I think that's too much motivation for him as a character. I legitimately think he's just pro resistance.
Are you saying that
Or
because it's this book series? Like if this was another book series, would you be like, wow, Brooke, that sounds so cool?
Well, like just like how you're like want to get into mind control next, as in like it would make things make sense. I don't think there's mind control. Like I legitimately think Kit be like, ooh, an excuse to marry Peyton because I'm obsessed with her.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds great. Like, and the more and more we read and like hear from him, I'm more and more convinced that he just is using this as a very loose excuse to get away with marrying Peyton.
Mm. Do you really? Because I
Yeah.
feel like he has been a total ice queen. Like I feel like his personality is so weird. Like and I feel like we have a lot of textual evidence for that, right? Like even Kai says like he's a different person when he's talking to me and then 2 seconds later he like switches when he's talking to Peyton. And is it purely just like anger at what she's done or is I don't know. I really think he's crazy. Is he crazy because of mind control? I don't know. Is he just like just did he go off the deep end? Like what do you guys think?
I
and
literally
I
think
think
he
it's
it's
go on.
I was just gonna say I think it's his jealousy of for the fact that he knows that Peyton likes Kai and Kai likes Peyton and he likes Peyton, but then he thinks he can't like Peyton.
Almost in like the weirdest way he seems to be pushing them to be together behind his back. Like this and like I don't even know if I can get started right now on how much all of that has been bothering me. But like all of Kit's scenes are him being like I know you want to be with her or like I know you want to be with him and like I don't care about you. Like he doesn't even really want to eat dinner with her or like tell her a personal thing about him and I just feel like if he really wanted to be with her, he would be acting differently, even so far as he's putting her in these trials and risking her life. If he really cared about her, do you think he'd do this?
Don't even bring up the trials. The trials make me so mad.
Elena, we have to talk about the trials.
No, absolutely. There's just, and I'm not even mad from the perspective of he's putting them in her. I'm mad from the why is there more trials? There didn't need to be more trials at all. And second of all, we'll get later, but the trial doesn't make sense. It's a bad trial. Time doesn't exist because it took them like a day and a half to walk across the field in the second book. But this time she walks all the way in to the longer path to collect the crown that nobody else can collect.
Nope. We're gonna
Not
get
even the
back to that.
bandits.
I need to wrap up the prologue before we go on to the next
Okay,
thing.
I have thoughts about the prologue to bring
Yes,
it back.
I need to hear your theories on the prologue. Like what
Yeah.
right now, if you had to take a stab in the dark, make the prologue make sense. Jamie, go while Elena takes a minute to compose herself.
Okay. So you were saying, I think we were saying that we thought it was Caleb. What if like this could be arranged into a future, maybe a future assassination attempt, but what if it was an attempt for alluding to the bombings that we had happened in this section. And
Mhm.
it had to happen so that it orchestrated the need for trials.
Yeah,
The
I
need
do
for
agree.
trials. The trials are so stupid.
The trials are one of my least favorite things that have happened in these 17 chapters. Honestly, it's one of my least favorite things that has happened in this series thus far. But I do agree with you, Jamie. I am thinking that everything is connected. Like the bombings, the trials, the scene we see in the prologue. Like I feel like there is a puppet master, and I don't know who it could be other than Caleb. Like I feel like the only other option would be Kit, and I just don't think he has it in him. To be totally honest, I don't. I think that he's being
No.
played, and the
I think
only
so
character we have
too.
that could be doing the playing is Cat.
Unless it's it's Kit the King, former king.
Surprise! It's been Ellie the whole time.
Oh, Ellie. All right, Elena, what do you think? Like, if you just had to take a stab, like, where's your brain at in terms of the prologue?
Empty. Like the prologue is meaningless to me. I'm assuming it
Don't
didn't happen. I'm not
don't
even.
even perfect.
But I do see a world in which Callum like has ulterior motives. I just don't know what they are yet.
Mm,
Um, and I feel it's all got to be connected to the secret child that we now know the king has.
yeah, and I feel like these are the two places where Mac could probably come into the story, but almost definitely isn't coming into the story. So, like, I
It,
think we saw a possibility where maybe Mac is the person that is being paid to do the thing, maybe
Hmm.
in the prologue.
Yeah.
possible.
And is there a world in which Mac could be this child that we've now found out? So we found out that Iris, it, Kit, Kit's mom,
Kit. Hmm.
Iris, Kit's mom, pre first queen, did not in fact die after she had Kit. She does in fact go on to have a second child. She was hidden in a room in the castle. Suspend disbelief, Jane Eyre. Um, and she apparently had a second child. We don't know if she lives, and we don't know if the child lives necessarily. The scene at Edric's chapter cuts at like her going into labor, and he says, "This is the beginning of how I lost her. Does she die? Does she leave? Does the child survive? We don't know."
The
Theories,
child
because
has to survive. There's no
almost
point of it if
definitely,
the child doesn't survive. Whether or
yeah.
not she survives can be up in the air.
Like, do we care?
Um,
No.
no. She's 1,000% cheating on him. Like
Yes.
1,001%, because they're like, and he didn't think anything at all of the rose. And it has to be someone in the castle who would know that she was alive. And so, like, if Callum is the king's mind reader, it could have been him. Like, he could have, like, sensed her mind still and, like, be visiting her in secret.
Yeah. I am also convinced she was cheating on him, not just because I think that the child is almost definitely Peyton, and like Peyton and Kit have like no physical resemblance. But I think that she for sure was cheating on him because what didn't make sense to me at first was he like loves his second wife, Kai's mom.
Mhm.
But when we get this chapter, it seems he like loves Iris. And I was like, I believe that you can love more than one person in your lifetime. So like don't get me wrong there.
But at the
But
same
maybe it
time,
makes sense. Well, and that's where I don't understand the timeline is that theoretically, like if we believe this chapter, he Iris is still alive and he has already remarried Kai's mom, who he
and had
loved a
Kai.
lot, who is currently dying because she loved him so much, which we're going to need to get to that, and I don't want to go there yet either. But so we are married to the same two people who we theoretically love, and I think the only way that he could like love Kai's mom as much as he seems like he loved Kit's mom is if he loses all of his love for Kit's mom by finding out that she cheated on him. That's my theory.
We also don't know what Iris's like rare ability is.
Yeah, that just got dropped in there.
It
Like she has a
right.
super rare power.
Because of that, that's when he decided to settle down.
Yep. Any thoughts?
And then Kit just has fire and water magic.
Yep. Which theoretically having two powers is kind of OP. So I do
Mhm.
believe like it didn't make me question if Kit did not come from those two people. Because honestly, I don't think that the king's power is all that great. He's a brawny. It seems like they're like a dime a dozen. Like power, yes, but not super rare. So I could see how like him plus super rare equals pretty rare.
Which is crazy because then his second wife is just a Volt, and it doesn't seem like being a Volt is super rare because it seems like Volts power their entire society, so it can't be that rare.
But somehow she made a wielder. Make it make sense. And maybe it's going to be a cool twist later. But do we have any theories? Because the thing that I keep coming back to is if Peyton is this child, Peyton isn't ordinary. Like, I firmly believe, please, please do not have powers later in this book. I firmly believe that she is an ordinary, which would need to mean what?
Well, but if Hayden's an
Or her
ordinary,
dad.
then it can't be her mom. Because I feel like they established pretty strongly in the second book that if even if you're not if you're an ordinary and then you hook up with someone with power, then you just get the
The mix.
yeah, the mixes.
Mhm.
Like it
Right.
needs to be two ordinaries to make an ordinary. Unless you're just ignoring that.
Good.
Since she
He's
would
good.
either
Is there
it's
a
not
world
Hayden.
Is there a world in which the king is not a brawny? Like, did we see
No.
enough of his brawny power when he fought Peyton at the end of book one?
I feel like I'm not questioning it.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't questioning it either.
Um
So Peyton could be that child. Mac could be that child.
It would make far more sense for it to be Mac, but Mac looks a lot like Kai.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it's hard to believe him, like, Mac and Kit being full. Well, I guess they wouldn't be full brothers if she cheated on him, and this
Mhm.
baby is not the king's. So could be Mac.
Is it bad that the
We
well
I was gonna ask, is Caleb the one with the daughter?
yeah,
Yes.
What do we know about that daughter?
nothing. Literally
What was
nothing.
what was her
We
power
knew her
though?
name at one point.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Lena? Is it someone else?
No, Lena's someone else, I think. Or maybe it's Lena.
I don't remember if they're the same person.
The only reason that I think that Peyton is probably the child is because I think that's going to be the plot device for why it's okay that she ends up with Kai instead of Kit. It's gonna resolve all of the unresolved issues because he's gonna be like, "Oh, it's my sister."
That was also my thought. Yeah. Yep. But like it's gonna I was gonna say it's gonna need to make sense. It doesn't need to make sense. I hope that it makes sense. Like if it's Peyton, I want to know how two super powerful elites had an ordinary child. Or I guess, okay, if she's not the king's, how did a super powerful person, even plus an ordinary, because I'm guessing that's the twist, is that she fell in love with an ordinary and had Peyton. How does Peyton become full ordinary? Not a mix of anything.
She's gonna just have some secret power that's been hidden somehow.
Oh no. Is that where we're going with
So
this?
disappointing.
If she's their child, I think that's where we have to be going with it. Like, in order to stay within the rules we've created for our society, if she's the secret child, she has to have secret powers. Otherwise, we just made up an entire loophole.
Yeah, you're right. That is where we're going with this, isn't it? Is that the reason why Lenny and everybody call her princess? Because I just thought the whole time it was because they knew she was gonna like end up with
Oh my god.
one of the brothers, but is it because she Oh goodness. Yeah.
Went from princess to queen.
Yeah.
Lenny just came back to the castle and was like, "Hey, I've been gone for a few weeks, but
Yeah.
I'm back."
I think we have to talk about
Ah,
Lenny. How unbelievable is that? Because Kai saw Lenny doing resistance stuff in
yeah.
Reckless, and
He brought
Lenny,
Peyton back.
yes, Lenny is convinced that his alibi is airtight. He's like, don't worry, nobody saw me leave and like help people through the tunnels. I'm good. I can't believe how it never came up, like how Peyton wasn't like, but Lenny, like Kai totally saw you and like I know we're making out, but like he might tell someone. Like just that never came up for either of them. They were just like, yeah, don't worry, I got this.
It's not the most
Caleb,
unbelievable thing that's happened in this section.
You're
true.
not wrong, but it's still unbelievable. Is that it's probably a plot hole, but like is there a way in which this like it does it make sense like because Lenny is in league with Callum and Callum
I don't
is
think it
doing mind reading?
matters.
I mean mind control?
Kit has decided he doesn't hate the Resistance for some reason, even though they led to his dad dying.
Yeah.
So even if people knew he was in the Resistance, like I know there was the whole like they don't know I'm in the Resistance, but I don't think it matters if they know he's in the Resistance. They let all the Resistance people go and they're training them into soldiers for some reason.
But it's just so strange that he was like, "Don't worry, no one saw me be part of the resistance, so I could just like come back and do my job." But not at all does he mention that time that we camped out in the desert with the enforcer.
I'm not gonna say it, but you know what it is.
Like,
Okay.
she doesn't question it either. There have been so many
No.
moments she does not question things at all.
Nope. Not one bit. Not
Also,
one bit.
her and Callum are best friends. She hugs him and it's like, oh my god, I missed you so much, my
Again,
potential dad.
again with the hugging of the resistance members that you just met.
I
Maybe
think
at least twice.
we have to just keep assuming that there were so many scenes where she became friends with the resistance that we did not see in that first book. Like we just have to I was also very taken aback when she hugged Callum. I was like this is very strange and off-putting, but okay.
Felt like we followed her each and every time that she would sneak out to meet with them.
No, it like alluded to the fact that she had like kept meeting with them and we did not see those scenes
Mm,
because we only saw the resistance like once before they came into the bowl with their grand plan.
yeah. Such
Um
bad planners.
yeah, as far as Lenny
Caleb.
goes, Lenny
Caleb. This
bothers
is why
me.
like I don't get that either. Sorry.
What? No, no, no. What? Wait, you don't
Caleb
get what?
being Caleb being the resistance leader and just leading them to failure.
It's
With no
hard because it's like, was it a bad plan that
this took years?
they think should have been good, or was it on purpose? Like, did he do it on purpose? And I don't know yet. Um, as far as Lenny goes, I do you guys also feel like Lenny doesn't make it out of this book? Like, because I feel like he's definitely the person that they force her to kill during her brutality trial. Like, anybody else?
Like they people would have to really know that how close of a relationship.
They do, though, because they're currently using Lenny as a wall in between Peyton and Blair, which I'm floored that Peyton hasn't found a way around Lenny to kill Blair. Like, the fact that Blair is still alive is actually very surprising to me. I'm like, Peyton, you need to focus. Like,
I don't think it's gonna be her trial for no other reason than the first trial was so out of nowhere for no good reason.
all right, we got to just talk about the trials. We'll talk about Lenny some other time if he makes it through the next section of chapters. The trials. We have trials. We don't like them, right? We all agree that the fact that we're doing more trials is not great.
Yeah, and
No.
everyone else just kind of like, ugh, eye roll or
Oh
groan
my god, I think
or
I
just
groaned out loud.
yeah, I did too.
I
Yeah.
literally think I said I was reading it and I went, "You gotta be kidding me."
And my hope is that it's as dumb like there's a reason for why it's also super dumb in the book. Like I'm honestly hoping it's like the way that Kit is trying to get her killed or something because it just seems so out of left field that they're like, "You know what? We should just test our queen in these random ways in order to have you have faith in her.
But the mechanics of it didn't make sense from, like, everything we've known about the world. It's the chain all over again.
Yeah. Yes. It is just like being chained to someone else's leg for an entire book. As far as trial 1 goes, do you think it's over? Because I'm really hoping that there's more to the trial than just her checking a bunch of caves and then happenstantially falling through the ground into the exact crypt that she needed to be in. That people
It's
have
over.
theoretically looked for decades.
It's
Do you think it's
over.
over?
That's the trial.
Yeah, I agree with Elena.
Like
I
she's
will
talking about this
literally
like cool like tingle down her spine of death and I kept waiting for a monster to come out at her and then the chapter just ended with her like grabbing the crown.
Ooh, unless she runs into a bandit.
if there's more to this trial other than her going back to the castle and potentially running into some bandits, I will come to the next taping absolutely trashed. Like I will literally like if we read this book and there is like
Like
death is pers-
the only way I'll get through reading the next few chapters to get to the next episode is like with a whole bottle of wine.
it would be better. Like I guess it would probably be better if there was more to the trial. I just don't think there will be.
Okay. That would be disappointing in my opinion if that was it.
It though.
No, she's just gonna come because they also in Kai's thing. He was like, "Oh, there's only like 3 hours left. It's dark. I'm freaking out." She's gonna come back with the crown, and then Kit's gonna have her wear the crown and be like, "Look, she's a queen."
Do you guys
I could do
also
that.
because so there are two options with this trial, right? The options are that we take Kit's story as truth and that this is like the long lost crown for like 100 years and everybody's been looking for it and no one's been able to find it. And he just willy-nilly sent his betrothed out, who we think he might still have feelings for, to go maybe find this crown in like 12 hours, like maybe 15 hours, and come back with it. Or does Kit know where it is and like knew that it would just be hard and scary for her to find it? So he knew she'd find it if she could like get past the bats and everything.
Nobody knows where it is. He didn't tip her off. She just happened to fall through the floor.
Right. So was it really not that hard to find and like he's filling us full of shit?
And the bandits are too scared to find it.
Bats, Elena. Bats are really scary. They're so spooky. She overcame a lot of her fears
A
to
bat?
get that crown. And death.
These bats.
Like I hope there's something else because if there's not, it doesn't make any sense how no one else has ever found this crown and like why it's such a big deal to go find it.
But it actually does
She's
make sense why
so
no one else has found
lucky.
it. Wait,
Because it's
what, Jamie?
I said she's so lucky.
I was gonna say, I actually feel like it would be hard to find because it was underground. But it can't be both. It can't be like almost impossible to find and Peyton found it in less than 12 hours. And also everyone's afraid to find it, but Peyton found it immediately.
but can you please explain the timeline for me? Because it took them like a day and a half to cross the field in the first book.
That I can help with. So if you look at the map, what she did in the Scorches the first time was like basically cut all the way across, like the long way, like the 5 day to door traveling. Then what they did is they had to go through all of Door to get to like the oh, what is it called? All I can think of is the
Sanctuary?
weeping. Yes, the
Sanctuary of Souls
Sanctuary
or
of Souls.
something?
That's it. So they like had to go through Door to do the Sanctuary of Souls and then the poppy field. they made Peyton basically walk in the desert, and she could see the poppy field like over to her left, and then like go into the Sanctuary of Souls. So it was
So
like
there's a
making her.
shortcut that they just didn't take the first time?
No, I think all the added time was getting through door and then, like taking their sweet time through the whole Sanctuary of Souls to get to the poppy field. Like they didn't need to go like make out in the lake and
But
give Peyton a haircut in the cave.
but
Yeah,
the whole reason people don't do the Sanctuary of Souls is because I thought it was longer and took 5 days to go that route.
No. It's more dangerous because of the bandits that are
And
very
longer. They
harmless.
definitely say it was longer.
I don't know. I remember
Sort of
it
like,
being shorter but treacherous.
know what else bothered me? And it's super small. What's the like island? Ilium? Not Ilium. The other
Is
one. Isram.
mhm.
In like
oh, where
the
Keith's
last
mom
book, they were
from?
like, "Oh, everyone knows about the bounty on you. I can't even go to Isram. Even Isram knows." And then in this book, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna like tell everyone about how you're my queen. We're even gonna find a way to get the message to Isram somehow." And I was like, "You clearly have a way of getting messages there if they knew about the bounty."
And we want to establish trade routes with them. But yeah, that's they just made her take like a desert walk next to the poppy field to test her mettle and then find the crown.
The
I
timeline still doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I really hope that there's more to the trial, personally. Do we have any inkling what the benevolence and the brutality trials will be? Because I really think the brutality trial has to be her killing someone that she loves.
She doesn't love anyone left except Kai.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, there's no
Could you
one else.
see Kit telling her that she has to kill Kai? Like, I could see unhinged Kit just being like, "You've been fooling around together behind my back this whole book. Murder him."
He wants
That'd
to
be
go
crazy.
back to brothers again. I'm hoping that their relationship is still strong
At the end of this book,
between Kit and Kai.
do you see a possibility of that actually happening?
The little optimist in me says
Yes.
yes.
Yes, I do. When Kit finds out that Hayden's his sister, and it's like, oh, she can't be my love interest. Hi, you love her, like you marry her, and then eh, you're my brother and she's my sister, but you guys can marry each other.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Big family.
I just don't know how Kit and Kai get to the point where they can like truly be like best friend brothers again after everything that they've done to each other. Personally,
I don't know. Kit keeps asking them if they're in a relationship, and they keep telling him no.
am I the only one that's bothered by the fact that at no point did Kai or Peyton think, "Why don't we just level with Kit? Like we used to be friends slash best friend brothers with him, and like, are we really believing that they are truly going with the like what Kit said that either I marry her or she's dead?" And like, I know they brought it up a couple of times, but I'm just surprised that no one has thought, let's just tell Kit.
Well, and then Kit's
And they
like
didn't
giving
really
them
question it.
permission to cheat on him. He's like, I know you love her, and you're like seeing her, and like that's fine. And Kai's like, nope, not doing that.
But also, part of me is wondering if he's trying to catch them at it
He
because
is.
he keeps making like little hints too about like when they're doing that like Kit and Kai are both telling childhood stories of each other in the carriage to
Mm,
Peyton, and Kit
Hmm.
makes one comment where he's like, "Oh yeah, no secrets between brothers." I'm just like, ugh,
I
hate
don't
it.
know. For some reason, I kind of love the Kai sneaking into her room thing. Just because, like, I don't care about Kit. I'm like, okay, sneak around.
Yeah.
I have to say I do like the sneaking around. But I totally get what you're saying, Brooke. Like, why don't they just tell them?
I like the fact that it's gray. Like I like the fact that Kit isn't like a super easy to hate villain. Like he's not just being like, "I'll kill her if you guys are doing anything behind my back." And but it
Mm.
I just can't get over the fact that he almost definitely still has feelings for her. But he's being very vocal about like, "No, I'm just doing this because it's political." Like, "Nope,
Well,
I hate you.
that
You're the worst."
that makes more sense to me than any of the other motivations in this entire book. It's because he still has feelings for her, but he's trying to keep his distance because he doesn't trust her. So, like, he's making a convoluted way of being with her, but while still trying to, like, be like, "I'm not with her because I love her." Like, he's in his own head refusing to everything else doesn't make sense to me. The trials, the why he keeps trying to catch Kai and Peyton together, even though he swears he knows.
Are you guys loving this version of the pretend game?
Honestly, I like it better than the last version.
Really?
Please elaborate.
Well, because this pretend game is like, oh, pretend we don't have feelings and that you do have feelings for Kit. And I'm just like, I believe it more. Like, I
Mm.
found it very hard to believe the pretending in the last book. It was hard to see what we were pretending. If we were pretending, it was unclear. This book, I'm like, I understand what we're pretending most of the time.
Is it
I
unfair of me to not like how Peyton is handling this whole situation? Because I just feel like she very quickly made the decision. I am going to sacrifice myself and marry the guy I'm not in love with to like save Ilya and my people. Like I get that motivation, but she's also trying to have Kai on the side too. And part of me hates it because like she's also trying to be friends with Kit and be like, if we're gonna like be married forever, we might as well enjoy it. But she's still like not telling Kai to back off. So she's not only like being mean to Kit, which he mostly deserves it, but like if you're gonna go be married to Kit for whatever your reasons are, let Kai go live his life. Cut him
You go,
loose.
Queen.
Have your cake and ice cream.
I feel like it makes sense for Peyton to go that way because one, she's young and I feel like throughout her entire life, she's always been trying to survive, even though it's like, even surviving is not what she really wants to do. And I think Kai is like something that she wants, that is for her. So it's like two sides of her is trying to do the thing that is right for her country, her kingdom. And then a part of her is also like, well, I want Kai for myself. At least that's how I see it.
So like her motivations check out to you.
But I like the pretend moments in the second book more because it was not as unethical
Yeah.
as it is in this book. Because in the last book, it was just them.
Yeah.
Kit is
If
a cardboard cutout. Nothing you can do to him is unethical. He's
I
basically an inanimate object.
You're not wrong, but cardboard has feelings, Elena.
Be a better brother and not be actively trying to date the girl he knows his brother likes.
I think my other problem with not really liking the sneaking around and the pretending and how Peyton's handling things is I feel like she's just not taking 5 minutes to think about the future. Like, how do you think you're going to do this for even let's like knock down their longevity in this kingdom and say they live to like 50? How are you going to do this for another 30 years? Like, you think you're just going to be able to be married to Kit and like have his children? Like that came up in a thought and then she just like dismissed it. And I was like, you think you're going to be able to
Girl.
like like, do all of that with one brother while you're doing all of that with the other brother. Like,
But she's not gonna do it with Kit because they're siblings, and that would be gross.
She don't know that.
In her heart of hearts, she knows that.
you're almost definitely right, Elena. I just feel like at this point, I don't know. Like, I feel like Peyton should be grieving more. Like, I'm so surprised that there was never a scene of like, I'm sacrificing myself and I want to be with you so bad, but like we can't. We can't be together.
Yeah.
And like there was no like no her crying in her room and like being upset for the things she could have had. She just immediately was like, I got to do this. I got to do it, but also
Mm.
we will make out on the side, but I got to do this. I got to be friends with Kit, but I'm still going to make out with you. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like no inner turmoil, I guess.
Oh,
Has there
right.
ever been? Has there ever been?
Yeah, and, like, I feel like she does have inner turmoil, right? Like, she's very upset about Adina, like, and has been. She's very upset about
Mm.
killing people.
She does freak out, like, right after he proposes to her, but then she kind of gets over it very quickly, and is like, "I have to do this."
Yeah, there's just no moment where she's like, there's no bargaining, I guess. Like, in the stages of grief that I feel
Mm.
like you should be going through if you've learned you can't be with the man that you love and you have to do this thing. Like, there's not even a single thought of like, oh well, could we like tell Kit, like, could I be married to him and name alone and like actually be with Kai? Like, could we talk to it? Like, there's no moment. She's just like, this is my lot in life.
Or
Goodbye.
even, like, a moment where she's like, "Oh, I see what he's trying to do, but, like, what if I married you instead?" And then it's like, "Look, I married my brother to an ordinary." Like, sure, it's not the king, but it's still, like, a big symbol, I feel like, to marry the
Yeah.
second in line to the throne to an ordinary.
Right, right. Or at the very least, just like leveling with Kit and being like, Kit, you know we're in love. We know we're in love. You and I can get married, but like all of your heirs will be his, and like you can go be happy with someone else too. Like the kingdom will think we're married, but we will both live separate lives happily ever
What a
after.
good idea.
If that
Why
was how
didn't
the
I
book
think of
ended,
that?
I would throw it out the window. But I'm just saying, like that never even occurred to them to just like
Um,
come up with
Brooke,
another option.
you're listening to the audiobook on your phone.
I am.
So,
You're so right. I would go to the nearest bookstore and I would purchase a copy of Fearless and throw it out the window. Thank you for reminding me that I'm listening to this book on my phone, Elena, but it might not save my phone from getting chucked across the room at some point. There are many chapters to come in this book in which that could happen. Oh boy. Let me check my notes to see what we haven't talked about. The only other thing that I think that we could discuss more is the loot bombing is like a big moment in this section. And I know we've thrown out a lot of theories, but does anyone have a predominant theory for why loot was bombed? I literally, if you're not watching this, you missed out and you should go to YouTube immediately. Because Elena just crumpling onto her desk was a performance to behold. Elena, do you want to take the loot bombing first, or would you prefer that Jamie weighs in on her theories for the loot bombing before you?
any theories? It doesn't make sense. I can't make it make sense. I'm waiting until it's fed to me. Makes sense.
You don't think that possibly like the advisors to the king did it to force the trials to happen, or like,
Speaking of which,
yeah, no, go.
advisors,
Mm.
how are we just meeting this guy Easel for the first time?
Also, why is his name Easel?
At least it doesn't start with A.
His
Does it? I'm
nickname
listening to the
A
audiobook.
with a silent E. His name's Azel.
Wait,
Oh, which
actually,
is
how,
it?
how do you spell it?
Sorry. Easel. Like
It's
an
literally
easel.
just okay.
How is it said in the audiobook?
No, it's pronounced easel. I just when I
Oh,
made
okay.
when I made the joke that it didn't start with an A, I then had to think about it and was like, I actually don't know that for sure. Is it?
Oh, nope, it's spelled easel.
Yeah, it's
Easel.
easel.
Okay. Yes, the group of advisors was random. Um, and I hope that there's going to be more that they do with the trials and everything that's coming. But I do feel like they were introduced just as a voice for the people that are not excited about Peyton being queen.
Peyton being queen is the only thing that makes sense in this book so far. She should just be married to the other brother.
Yeah,
Of course.
yeah. But like, let's project to the end of this book. Where do you guys see this book ending? Like, do you see that being the end? Like, is it Peyton and Kai are running the city?
Running the city, but no matter what, they're gonna end up together.
They have to.
Okay, but
If they
imagine how funny it would be if they don't.
if they don't, my phone is toast. Absolute toast. I will need to buy a new one.
Ah, for what? For what?
You did remind me though, Elena, and I did not make a note of this. There was a very ominous line in one of the last chapters that we read about, and this was the first time I think that the word fearless was used. And it was in, I think it was in watching the man that you love from afar. Like, that is the truly fearless thing to do. And it did occur to me that there is a non zero chance that this book series ends with them not together. How do we
No,
feel, fam?
they're not gonna not be together. They're gonna be together in secret behind his brother's back.
I would
But also
actually
no,
prefer all
because
of them die.
Kit and Peyton are siblings, so that doesn't work either.
Oh goodness. Okay, so no theories on the loot bombing because we hate it and it makes no sense. So we'll bring that back up when hopefully we have more information in the next section. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about was Kai's mom, like specifically about how much I hate her and how I didn't think that I could hate her more than I did in the last book. And then she apologized for not doing anything with how Kai's dad treated him. And I was happy that she apologized for Kai,
And
but
then
it made
immediately
me
said, "But it made you strong." Is
yes.
that what did it?
It was just the audacity to apologize for allowing your husband to brutally torture your son, who you're pretending to love. But really it's that married to the fact that she's dying of a broken heart for this man who tortured her son. Guys, make it make sense.
In the second book, so it's no surprise that the same thing's happening here. But I think I'm glad that Kai has recognized and acknowledging how disappointing she is to him.
Yeah. I think it gave him closure, which I liked.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I'm more peeved about than like all these disappointing parental figures is that every time that Peyton says like, "Oh, he's my father," but not really, just pisses me off because your adoptive father is your father.
I kept going back and forth because I felt the same way, Jamie. I kept going back and forth on like, am I being too hard on Peyton? because I recognize that learning that, especially after he's dead, is definitely like that's something that she's going to need to come to terms with. That's a big thing to learn. But I can be at peace with her process if she never brings it up in that way again. Because I feel like in the last scene that she was like, "Oh, my dad, who wasn't really my dad." I feel like she did. She said she had that thought where she was like, "But like he wasn't just the man who raised me. Like he chose to keep me, unlike my
Mhm.
biological parents." And like that is what a dad is. It's the person that like raised you and showed up for you. So I hope that she has now realized that and will now stop being like, well, not really my dad, but the guy that did everything for me.
Who loved me like his own. Yeah.
Yes. I do feel like the reason that it keeps being brought up is purely because we are going to find out who Peyton's dad is, or at least like who Peyton's mom is. But yeah. Yep. I just wanted to say the only thing that I have really loved, like consistently throughout this whole book and really this whole series, is Kai's character. I don't know if that's like my internalized sexism, just feeling like Peyton's letting me down, but like this whole series, I am so thankful to it for giving me Kai Azer. Like, thank you. That's it.
My favorite. And he's such a poet. So
Yes.
charming. A flirt.
Such
Yep.
a flirt. Their banter
I
is
just
back to a point that I appreciate. Like, I feel like it had really dipped in the second book, and like, even though they're sneaking around, their banter in this book is much better.
They keep being touchy feely, and I love it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm forcing myself to like the banter again, and I'm doing that by seeing it through Kai because I feel like Kai has gone through a believable mental process through this. Like I feel like he made that offer to Peyton and was like, he basically was like, I will burn the world for you. Like I will do whatever I need to do to be with you. And she basically said no. She was like, "No, I need to be with your brother to save the city and my people. It's not us." So I get why he's now doing what he's doing because he feels like this is his only option. He wants to be with her. This is all she's giving him. He's going to try to like have a relationship with his brother. His brother knows what he's doing to him. So like Kai's motivations I feel are realistic.
All just to motivate her to be fearless in terms of love.
That's my hope. Not fearless in terms of watching the man you love live his life while you're
Yes.
married to his
Not
brother.
that one. The other one.
Who's also your brother.
Fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. All right. I think that's it. Unless does anybody have any other scenes or moments or lines or
um, just to go back to the prologue and like the bombing, I think they're connected.
bring it around, Jamie.
Bring it
Because
full circle.
we
Because
like
now that we
rapid
brought,
fire just screamed about 7 different things, and I'm sure
I
we didn't
know,
actually talk about 3 of them.
but just to bring it back to that, and since we mentioned Easel, maybe he's the mastermind. If it's not Caleb,
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm just throwing there. I'm just throwing it out
Could
in the
be
void.
nothing like bringing up a character we've never seen before to have them be the secret mastermind behind everything.
Yep. Or
Yeah,
it's
I
someone
don't think
who's
I'd like that.
dead, someone who's dead and comes back, maybe like Kith's mom,
Yep.
Who's also Peyton's
aka
mom.
who has also paid his mom, paid his real dad.
Yeah.
Maybe
Because
Lenny's the mastermind.
There's a non-zero chance that Lenny's like evil in this for sure.
Blair doing it behind the scenes.
I think Callum's got to be involved.
I feel like there's so much to pull together in the last. Like, I know we're only a quarter into this book, but we still have 2 more trials, and we have to pull together whatever this plot is happening.
Yeah. I think we're gonna get it's gonna happen while the trials are happening.
Do we still think Adina's not coming back somehow?
No.
No, she did.
And Max
I
So
probably isn't
annoying.
coming back. And they also brought up that there were controllers that like control people's actions, and that's never been relevant ever, and probably won't be.
I feel like a lot of people are getting controlled in this book personally. I'm
Mhm.
still not 100% convinced that there's not some sort of mind control going on because Kit's motivations make the least sense to me of any character in this book so far. And it could just be like trauma and he's not really thinking things through and is very susceptible to Callum's point of view and just really is not like functioning with a full set of cards, but I don't know what he's going to do next. Don't know. We're going to find out though. So keep reading. Join us here for episode 2. And we will discuss, I'm not sure what chapters.
33. Is it, I think, 18 to
Through
33?
33. I'm double checking.
Yep.
18 to 33 for the next episode. So read 18 to 33, come back here, and we'll see what happened with everything we've talked about. And probably other things that we had no idea were going to happen, just new plot lines that are going to get introduced, we're going to have to discuss as well. So we'll see you there for episode 2. Thanks, guys. Bye.